Thank you. If you want either or both of the books for free, just sign your email on there. If you took a book and want to keep it, please review it on the internet or give David $10. And we have about 15 minutes for comments and questions. So please, there's 2 mics to go around, yes?
Yeah, Bob did the only one.
One should be called Mike and one should be called Michelle. Okay. Okay.
My question to you, sir, and thank you so much for bringing out so much real truth.
Thank you.
And I don't want you to answer it until I ask the group a couple of questions.
Okay.
My question is going to be, are there any environmental hazards to manufacturing, say, solar panels? What is the country in the world that has had the most atomic bomb? Where has the most atomic bombed place in the world? What country is most atomic? And now just raise your hand because I'd like to hear. Yeah?
United States.
Exactly. Thank you. And what would be the second, do you think? Second most bombed out country in the world. Bombed out country. I'm really saying it that way because that's what it is. Want a hand up on that? It's actually Russia because they've been doing the testing. See, we've done more than 1,000 tests in the United States. Russia has done 450 and, manufactured equal amounts of, and dismantled equal. And the next question is, golly, I think I've forgotten it. No, how many knew that which was the most bombed out country in the world? How many knew it when I asked? How many knew it was the United States?
I did.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You have a question for the speaker.
Yeah, I do. Right.
Okay.
So
Can we
having
get to it?
said all that, I just want to find out whether the products needed to make solar panels is destructive to the earth in any way, because I learned that the indigenous people have always said to keep uranium in the ground.
Yes, okay, so the original uranium, as we found out yesterday for the bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, came from the Congo, but much has come from New Mexico and other parts of the United States, and the Native Americans suffer tremendously from disease out there. And the most bombed out state in the United States is Nevada, right near Las Vegas. I don't know if there's poetic justice in that or not, but I have spoken in many casinos, by the way, both Indian casinos and in Nevada. One of the big casinos owners has been a huge opponent of nuclear testing. And that's also the last place I was arrested, was a nuclear test site. So I have special affinity for it out there. But thankfully thanks to the movement, the anti-war movement, in 1963, we did get an atmospheric test ban. And it was based on the speech that John Kennedy gave right here at American University. And as David has shown, and if you want to read one great speech from an American president, that's it, the 1963 American University speech, which may have gotten him killed. But, that's when the nuclear test ban came in. But you're 100% right. It was Nevada, then Russia, and then probably after that, per square inch, I will tell you the number one place that's been bombed was the Marshall Islands, because that's where we dumped so many of the weapons. But thank you for that. Solar panels. Currently, there are rare resources that are used in many solar panels, but there is a conversion going on. Because these are such simple devices, we think, I've read that we're in a process now of getting the solar panels to be much less dependent on rare earths. I mean, it is essentially silicon that we use there. So that's what I'm hoping to see. Barbara? How are you? It's not work. People always thank me for my work. There's nothing else I'd rather do than this. I mean, how do you beat this, All you great people here and getting to talk to you and getting a free lunch on top of that. Okay.
Thank you for your passion, your commitment, and everything you've done. My question is, artists really helped us with the No Nukes movement. John Hall, Bonnie Raitt, Jackson Brown, and others, is there the potential for us to have that kind of beautiful, beautiful movement again among celebrities and artists? And are you talking with them? And I hope we can show a clip from the No Nukes concerts back in the 70s, because there were over 1 million people in Manhattan at that No Nukes concert. The other thing I wanted to share is that the Koch brothers does control my state legislature in Richmond, Virginia. So we did an end run around them for solar in Arlington, Virginia. And 600 families formed a cooperative, and we bought our solar equipment together and installed it on our roofs to bring down the cost for everyone, and to prevent the legislature from doing that. Do you know how many other communities might be forming cooperatives? This combines your presentation with GAR's yesterday. And also, have you published a textbook for your classes?
I am publishing a textbook for my classes. It'll be down in about a year, called America at the Brink of Rebirth, inspired by Howard Zinn, my mentor. And what I need from you, if you will write up how you did what you did, and anyone else working on community solar, this is the way to go. We can just wipe out this industry. We have the tools. We have the money behind us. You know, Elon Musk, although I'm a little concerned about Elon Musk personally, I think he's got a infallibility complex that I hope doesn't send him bankrupt. But we need to, this stuff works. And we also, just for the record, I came across, from a meeting like this, some guy came out, and you know, sometimes people come out and you think, where are they coming from? He has invented a solar panel, photovoltaic panel, with a cooling system on the back that heats water. Because photovoltaics actually work better when they're cooled. And so especially in California, in Southern California, and other hot areas where you have the photovoltaics heating up, if you can have a simple sheet of aluminum with a tube on the back to heat the water, you get a hybridization of the system. But Barbara, the community movement towards renewable is totally the antithesis of war. And this is a peaceful movement. It gives jobs, it gives economic benefits, and it's tangible, it's doable, and you can get all the pro-nuclear people on a panel, and they can yell and scream, but we have the money on our side now. And that's where it's going to go. And by the way, we're hearing that from some of these people that they've solved the nuclear waste problem. There is a military facility called WIP in New Mexico, which was supposed to be the poster child for nuclear waste, and they had one barrel of nuclear waste. I couldn't make this up. They put the wrong kitty litter in it. You know, they use kitty litter, and they put in organic, which doesn't work as well as clay. This one barrel of nuclear waste blew up in Carlsbad, in the canyon where the WIP is. $2 billion worth of damage, and the entire facility is still shut down. And this was a showcase for what they were going to do with nuclear waste. So completely, and they've also shut down, you know, they've talked about this idea of MOX, mixed oxide fuel, which would recycle nuclear fuel. They've been building a facility in Savannah River, South Carolina, $50 billion. And they're nowhere near even 10 years from completing it, and the Department of Energy is asked to pull the plug. So all this yapping we're hearing from the pro-nuclear people about recycling the nuclear waste, and it's a political problem. It's not a political problem. It's a geological problem, for God's sakes. There's no solution after all these years. But thank you, and let's do the community solar stuff. Please.
So I wanted to ask you, there is, my name is David Barrows.
Hi, David.
Hi. An article came out, I think it was during the Iraq War, about how bombs, when they drop, emit green gas, as in the Washington Post.
Really?
So, well, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you aware of actual
Green
damage?
gas?
Green gas.
I'm
That's
sure
what
it's
it said.
possible.
I still have it somewhere in my house. I put it in a certain drawer. I try to save articles like this. So I was going to, pardon me? Green gas, all I know is it's something that destroys our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Green gases. So I was going to ask you if you were aware of studies of what these bombs actually do, because all this war going on, Syria, Libya, et cetera, drones, all these obviously have an impact on our atmosphere. And, of course, bombing an oil drill.
Oh, God.
I mean, oil well, sorry.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you've done studies on what war actually pollutes and the pollution ratio of war.
Right. Well, we've seen tons of it, of course. And I should be remiss in, when we attacked or when we peacekeeped in Yugoslavia and in Iraq, nuclear weapons were used. Depleted uranium is extremely radioactive, and we know that what Clinton did in Yugoslavia, and what we did with these. As most of you know, the depleted uranium is extremely hard, and it's used to penetrate tanks. These shells are, and they don't have an explosive. They just go right through, and then they vaporize. And when they vaporize, they turn into extremely radioactive materials. And we are seeing terrible infant death rates and malformation rates in both Yugoslavia and Iraq because of the use of depleted uranium. And so it is these are nuclear wars. When we use depleted uranium, that is a nuclear war. And, of course, the first casualty of war is said to be truth, but the second casualty is always the environment. Vietnam will never recover from use of Agent Orange. I mean, what a concept to wage war against a country by completely deforesting. And that always happens. And so the ecological costs of war are horrific. And all you have to do is see a movie from World War I or World War II and look at the forests in Europe and what happened there. So all wars are wars on the environment. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And of course, so many of our wars have been wars for oil and resources that now hopefully we can get around that. But it's a very good question. I don't know about the green gas, but I'm sure that whatever environmental damage we imagine being done by war is in fact being done. I mean, that's a pretty safe assumption. So thank you for that. More, okay?
Hi there, Harvey. Beth Adams from the neighboring town to Montague,
Yes.
Leverett.
Yes, yes.
My question is, would you kindly add biomass and pellet to the top line? Ban fossil, nuclear, and biomass and pellet, or forest-based fuels. And I'll tell you why. Because what's happened to the Montague Plains, the 200 acres, motivated me to become involved in this issue. It was clear cut, or the Fish and Wildlife Service that was partly responsible for this, that manages this land, says it's aggregate retention cutting, which means that you leave a few trees here, a few trees there, and so forth. When we stopped 4 biomass plants in Western Mass, it was an incredible activist-run event, series of events and petitioning and wonderful things that stopped this. We didn't know that pellets were coming down the line. And I just pulled up the name of Enviva for those of you that live in this area. Enviva LP from Bethesda, Maryland. It says it's closed today, but they're open for business in the southeast, where they have 24 manufacturing plants for pellets, and they ship them overseas mostly to Great Britain to move for electricity. So
Okay.
in the UK. I did ask the question.
Yes, okay. Forest biomass has to be carefully done, very carefully done. We can't assume that just by so-called waste trees that we can get good, clean energy. We can't do that. We have to be very, very careful. But biomass will be a big deal. And the number one crop on biomass was also the number one crop for George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, which is hemp. Hemp is a huge deal. And I will say, maybe to conclude, that legalizing pot is actually a big deal in terms of world resources. It's not marijuana that's going to be the biggest industry. It's hemp. Hemp will be good for clothing, for many industrial products, for fuel, for food, and maybe if all our world leaders would get stoned, we wouldn't have so many wars. So thank you very much on that. I'll sort of jump out. I appreciate your time. David, thank you.
Thank you.